Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, April 20, 2020, 7 p.m. Heidrich. Holtmeyer.
Here.
Obermark.
Here.
Patke.
Here.
Pettit.
Here.
Skornia. Sullentrup.
Here.
Wessels.
I don't think they can hear.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated April 6, 2020? Heidrich. Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
Patke.
Aye.
Pettit.
Yes.
Skornia. Sullentrup.
Yes.
Wessels.
Okay, having read the minutes, are there any questions, any corrections?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Pettit, to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated April 6, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have a liquor license approval for Washington Distillery Company at 622 Jefferson Street, and the rabies clinic is being postponed to perhaps August. We don't know yet. The veterinarians are just wanting to postpone.
Okay, any questions about the items on the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Obermark, to approve the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the items. Thank you.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, police department reappointments.
This evening, we have the reappointment of 3 of our police officers. We have Patrol Officer Daniel Day, Patrol Officer Doug Tollison, and Patrol Officer Nolan Crawford. This is Nolan's second 6-month appointment, so he's our newest police officer, I believe. Well, no, I guess Ben Cassett is our newest. But anyway, Nolan has been here for 6 months and now is here for his being appointed for the second 6 months. So in your packet is a letter also from Chief Menifee regarding the appointments, so the reappointments. So I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Holtmeyer, to approve the reappointments of Patrol Officer Daniel Day, Patrol Officer Doug Tollison, and Patrol Officer Nolan Crawford. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointments. Thank you.
Planning and Zoning Commission reappointment.
Also this evening on the agenda is a reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that would be Chuck Watson. His term would be ending in 2024. I believe that Chuck might just be completing his first term on Planning and Zoning, so does a good job.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Pettit, to approve the reappointment of Chuck Watson to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointment. Thank you.
Treasurer Collector, Deputy Treasurer Assessor reappointments.
So each year in April, we do the appointment of the treasurer collector and then the deputy treasurer assessor. This generally happens after our election, right? And had we had our election earlier this month, tonight would have been the night of swearing in the same, but
Certification.
yes, the certification of the ballots and then swearing in. So at this meeting, though, tonight, we are going to ask for your approval for the reappointment of Mary Sprung as treasurer/collector, and then Darren Lamb as deputy treasurer/assessor. This is something that comes due every year about this time. So any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Pettit, to approve the reappointment of Mary Sprung as treasurer-collector and Darren Lamb as deputy treasurer-assessor. And this is for a one-year term. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the reappointments. Thank you.
Excuse me, could you tell me who made the motion and second?
I can. It was Patke and Pettit. And Mary, you and I had a brief conversation today about swearing in the new board, which would be the same board, our council
Right,
members.
It would be after.
And we would do that when the next, when the election really was. So tonight would have been the normal night to do that, but we really should wait until the election.
It'll be the next, or the election is scheduled for June 2nd. So it'll be the second meeting in June
Right,
when we do that.
yeah. So anyway, so just so y'all know. So,
And I have Chief Menifee on the phone, I guess, about the reappointments.
oh, okay, did he want to say something?
Chief, did you want to say anything?
I just want to tell council that all those officers do a fantastic job. This is Nolan's second 6 months term, and he is doing well and progressing well as an officer, from a fireman to a police officer. It's a very good asset for the community and our department. This next 6 months will put him here a year. So I would ask that they all be reappointed.
Okay, well, we already did that, but thank you for your endorsement.
Happy to provide it.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, citizens' comments. I did not receive any comments from any citizens.
Okay,
So, any department head reports?
I think we're fine for tonight.
Okay. Ordinances, resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an amendment to sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, the County of Franklin, Missouri, and B&M Metro Properties, LLC.
Holtmeyer.
introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer.
I think this is an extension of the contract to go out for an additional 60 days. That'll put it at a total of 120 days. The new closing date would be on June 15th of 2020. It's my understanding the potential buyer requested the extension.
Just due to circumstances?
Huh?
Just due to,
Yeah, it's
Pandemic
my
stuff?
guess, yeah. I don't,
nothing else has changed?
I don't know the exact reason why, other
No.
than they just requested it.
I'm sorry?
I said, not that we know of.
Okay, I didn't know if something changed that
Nope.
they were doing. Okay.
Okay, any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an amendment to sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, the County of Franklin, Missouri, and B&M Metro Properties, LLC. Wessels? Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Sullentrop?
Why are we voting on this if they want an extension?
You have to, it's a change in the contract because the mayor has to sign the contract. Any contracts we take to you.
Yes?
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Yes.
Hatchke?
Charge you Mark's rate.
Yes.
For answers like that.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an exclusive agreement for the collection, hauling, and disposal of residential municipal solid waste and recyclables by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and Waste Connections of Missouri, Inc.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke. So this is the contract with Waste Management for our refuse hauling and our recycling. This is the big kahuna.
This is something we've been waiting for quite some time. And so, John, can you hear us? I can. All right. Go ahead, and if you want to, they just, it was just introduced for if you want to go ahead and fill them in on any of the, I mean, I can go ahead and speak to it a little bit. It would start on June the 1st. I guess you've got your holiday schedule that's also located within here. They would also be doing, it is my understanding, the second and fourth weeks for recycling. Is that correct, John? First and third full weeks for recycling. I don't think they can hear him. They can't hear him. The first and third full weeks is for the recycling for anybody that, when that will be collected. And we will be doing a marketing campaign in conjunction with Waste Connections so that all the residents are aware of it. I think you guys have been pretty much, up to this point, there's not been really any other changes that you might not want to do that. I don't think that'll work.
Nope.
I think his connection might be bad because he's locked in there. But anyway, everybody will receive the recycling container. It's like a 64-gallon. I think everybody gets that. If residents choose that they do not wish to have the recycling container, we will make arrangements to go ahead and pick those back up, or actually Waste Connections would go ahead and pick those back up at a later date if they want. I don't know of any other questions you may have.
Are we gonna have a dumpster or two out at the recycling center?
We can have single stream containers out there for the general public to go ahead and utilize, yes.
Okay. And then,
Darren, one question I got, Darren.
Mark, everybody's asking a question, so go ahead. We can hear you now. That's better. Go ahead, John.
Okay, everything you said was correct except the first and third full weeks of the month will be respectively. The single stream recycling operation, the whole board included. The parks themselves will be 64 gallon. There is actually one at the rear of the council chamber in the back, but they're 64 gallon. We would entertain if somebody did not want one. Everyone would get one, but if for some reason they did not want one, we would then we would essentially pick them up at a later date. But it's more of we're going to give them to everybody, let them get used to it. If they, for some reason, cannot live with recycling, we can then collect them at a later date. June 1st is the go live date. It's a 5-year contract. We plan on keeping our equipment for a small amount of time as we transition over. We will keep one trash truck. We have one essentially as a backup as we kind of transition to contact quality. They get 2,000 tons allotment at the landfill, which they can use at their discretion. Yes, at 5,000 tons runs out. So essentially 5,001 tons, they have the choice to use it in a landfill or take it to their own facility. They will be charged in at $80 ton every 5,000. Like Darren said, we'll do a pretty large marketing campaign, Code Red. But that's the gist.
somebody stepped on the dog.
Somebody needs to mute there.
Okay, I didn't hear half of what he understood. half of
Well,
what
okay,
he
so
said.
what did, Mark Wessels just asked a question, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yes, there will be 2 big trash weeks per year, and we can schedule something at a later date with regards to, I know that we missed ours for this month due to the virus, et cetera, but yes, there are 2 scheduled in the contract per year.
And then also, if you want something hauled off.
Yes, another service, thank you. Another service that's added is that if you have a bulky trash item and you don't want to hold it until Big Trash Week twice a year, you can call up Waste Connections and make arrangements for them to pick it up. There is a fee that would be involved with that, but it does, you can get that picked up curbside.
And you would just pay them directly. It would not
Pay
be,
them directly. It's not going to be a bill that you'll see through the city. That's something that you would get billed directly from Waste Connections.
And all this will be forwarded to the people to know all this is going to happen in a brochure?
Exactly. We were going to do everything from utilizing Code Red to Facebook to our utility billing, all of those things. And plus, I think Waste Connections is also going to have, when they start delivering the containers, at least the recycling containers, they'll give them instructions on what's recycling or what they can use, how they can, what materials are recycled, what they can expect to throw in there, et cetera, those types of things.
they had hoped that, we would be going, and so then they would have maybe a booth at Art Fair Wine Fest or a booth
Yes.
at the Barbecue and Blues Fest, just to introduce themselves to the community, even maybe do some sponsorship maybe or something, and that to get their name out. And of course, none of that's going to happen now. But it seemed like they had a pretty good campaign themselves that they were wanting to implement, but we've lost those opportunities a little bit, so.
Do we know anything about how they're currently performing in this situation? Like, the whole game has changed, I feel like, since we talked about this.
John, did you hear the question? I don't know if you've followed up on any since the virus hit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, good question. Yes, so on the Mondays, in weekly correspondence with them on sharing that group about how their operation is growing, rules are going crazy.
Hey,
So they're two operators, they're taking crosses with their people, but, Franklin was still moving forward, they never really could have changed. So, getting that to pull back and still part things. Notice the big trash has, been spending on, if it does say, for public concern. But other than that, the day-to-day election is like, the work's no different than any other utility.
Thank you.
are there any other questions?
Yeah, Darren, two questions. Did we talk about going with the 99 gallon or not?
I think is what we settled was with the 64. You talking about the recycling?
Mm-hmm. Well, for trash pickup.
Trash is
our
whatever
own.
you already have. Your existing containers that you use today will still be utilized with Waste Connections. The only thing that's different in the container is the recycling container, and that's 64 gallons.
Well, I thought they were using 64 for trash and for,
No,
No,
it's our own.
You can use your own.
You can put a bag out.
So you can put the bag out, you can have the toter that's 64 gallons, you could have, how big can the toters be, John?
96.
96.
yeah, because I recently bought 5 96 gallons.
That's fine.
That's fine.
They'll still work, they'll be able to utilize those.
Okay. Okay,
Second, you had two questions?
that's all right.
It was very important to us that trash collection did not change.
Right.
Nothing improved on how trash is collected. If you have a 35-gallon container, you can still use a 35-gallon container. If you have a 96-gallon cooler, which is relevant, you can still use a 96-gallon toilet. The only thing that's changed is recycling going away to a blue bin to a blue 64-gallon coolers. That stuff for the cover will be put on for corporate incorporated. For the new collection. The bill has not changed. The way we bill has not changed.
Is there,
The billing has not changed, so the customers, our residents won't see anything different. They will not be billed by Waste Connections, other than for those special collections if they choose to do that. But otherwise, their monthly bill will still come from City Hall.
do we have an amount now that we can set out? I mean, if you have
No limit.
5 of those, you can set them out?
There's no limit as long as they're all in containers. That has not changed.
Can't clean out the house.
Well, I'm saying,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be.
Within
I-
reason.
You know, like I said.
you know the problem we had before.
Correct.
What was the problem that we had before? Because, I mean,
With,
change. So if you were to set decking material out in a big pile for a couch, and you did not make fire arrangements with waste connectors, it will not be picked up. Nothing changes. We don't pick it up. We won't pick it up.
we had, John, we had problem with people setting things out, like a rental property, setting things out, and the city wouldn't pick them up.
I would say that if it is not contained in a container, and it is not residential trash, it still will not be picked up. If you set wood out in this lot, it will not be picked up. No different. Unless you make private connections. Or unless the big property.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Logistically, will the recycling be put out on the same day as trash, but every other week?
Yes.
But it's the
First
first,
and third, I understand that,
Third
but
first full week. The first full week and the third full week. So if the week starts on a Wednesday,
it's the following week,
it's the following week.
easy enough. But it's on the same day as your trash pickup.
Uh-huh.
Question like
Right.
that.
You put out two,
Jeff, you're correct. It would be the same day your trash is picked up in today.
Good.
We all prepare, we have staff on 5 days or 12 days. Should someone set it out on the wrong week, we can deal with those things. I mean, that's just an educational thing.
Okay.
hey, those of you who are at home, we seem to be getting some feedback. If you're not speaking, why don't you put your microphone on mute, and then we won't hear the background noise. That might kind of help some of the feedback that we're getting here, and it might help you to hear better, too. Just a suggestion. Thanks. Okay, so we read this once. I guess we have to read it again. Any other questions?
An
Okay.
ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an exclusive franchise agreement for the collection, hauling, and disposal of residential municipal solid waste and recyclables by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and Waste Connections of Missouri, Inc. Wessels? Heidrich?
I don't know if you can hear anything.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Selentrop?
Yes,
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Aye.
Hatke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance waiving water and sewer connection fees for the owners of real property located in plats 1 and 2, lots 1 through 61 of Meadow Lake Farm subdivision.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke.
I want to make sure that this is very clear. The connection fees were a part of the agreement, the pre-annexation agreement that we reached with Meadow Lake Farms. What this does is it basically, they do not have to put down a security deposit for both sewer and water. So this was something that was not discussed during, I think it was assumed during those pre-annexation, but it was not spelled out in that pre-annexation agreement. So when I brought it back up with Mark, at the time, he advised that we would need to go ahead and have an ordinance to go ahead and waive those. And again, this is just for the security deposits on everybody. We're not providing them water. I will tell you that as of 10:16 a.m. today, they have sewer. And I got the email from Bill Mayhew at that moment. I think he was probably the happiest person on the planet at that time. But when the water comes along at a later date, it would also be waived at that time. We do not have a concern with this. That's the reason why we brought it before you.
And residents are gonna pick up the fee for closing the old sewer system?
Yes, that was part of the pre-annexation agreement that we already had in place.
Are they gonna handle the contract for that and everything?
That's part of the performance agreement that we have with that other, I guess it was KJ Understall on the, on providing the sewer. That was part of his contract in that performance contract. So, that's the next step, by the way. But that's something that we had, the city had that contract with her to go ahead and provide that.
Okay.
And that money is all in escrow,
And money sitting all in escrow, et cetera.
waiting to be used. I mean, they have paid everything they need to
Right.
pay.
We have everything on the sewer, and the water payment is, we can collect on the sewer whenever we get the work done. Then the second thing will be is when we put the water in, that's at a later date. That's probably gonna be later this summer,
Nice.
so.
There were a lot of meetings. These guys did a good job.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
An ordinance waiving water and sewer connection fees for the owners of real property located in plats 1 and 2, lots 1 through 61 of Meadow Lake Farm subdivision. Wessels? Yes. Heidrich?
He can't hear.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Sullentrop?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Aye.
Hatchke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract amendment number 1 to a contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Cochrane for the Pre-Treatment Compliance Assistance Project.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer.
This is an increase in the price. I think there was more that needed to be done with regards to the reporting that Cochrane is taking underway for the local limit analysis report, and there's an enforcement response plan, et cetera. So we needed to go ahead and get an approval for you to go ahead and increase the contract.
John? Yeah?
Go ahead.
Yes, we had a $9,500 contract with Cochrane initially, to, complete local limit calculations, in response to a notice of violation at the treatment plant. Every 2 years, we have to upgrade our industrial monitoring. The state of Missouri was going to upgrade that, and, we did not get that done last year. So we hired Cochrane to assist us in doing that, and there was some additional testing of the effluent, and reporting with correspondence back and forth with DNR to get that done. That does not mean it was an issue with the treatment plant per se, it just means we're trying to correct the deficiency and move forward. I do not believe that it changes any of our industries, and how we monitor effluent. It's more of a modification of our reporting to ensure that we streamline with the state of Missouri.
Okay. Thanks, John. Any other questions or comments?
So this is for the testing of the influent and effluent at the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes, sir. The city is taking testing, okay, so we report to DNR. However, the state of Missouri, what they call streamline effort, essentially to bring our treatment plant into compliance with surrounding communities and any other community within the state of Missouri. Apparently, there was not a cohesive set of rules on effluent in treatment plants, so we had to
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract amendment, number 1, to a contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Cochrane for the Pre-Treatment Compliance Assistance Project. Wessels? Yes. Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Aye.
Hatke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for J.T. Gibbs Highway subdivision in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer.
This is located on East Fifth Street, right across from Melinda Lane. This is right next, if you'll remember where that shed is located. I think that's within your subdivision plat on the packet. That's located just to the west of the lot. They're basically combining those lots and removing that lot line. So the lot will be 35,820 square feet. It'd be a pretty large lot.
Any questions, comments?
Zone residential.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for J.T. Gibbs Highway subdivision in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Wessels? Aye. Heidrich? Aye. Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance.
Just out of curiosity, the planning and zoning, do you know how that went?
I think
Didn't
when they
come
combined
before.
this, it didn't go before planning and
Didn't
zoning.
have to?
Because if you're combining a lot or whatever, and you're not creating a net new lot, if you're adjusting a lot, the lots, you're not required to go to planning, zoning, and go straight to city council for approval. Because you're not increasing the number of lots.
Okay.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 20-13092, being an ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the City of Washington, Missouri, and enacting certain regulations in connection therewith.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer. This is the ordinance which extends, our ordinance,
It decreases it by 1 day.
yes, our ordinance was through till May 4th.
May 4th at midnight, it was going to go ahead and cover the first city council meeting that we had, and in case we had to act on May the 4th with the governors coming out with the new timeline, we just had to decrease that back, and we wanted to coincide with whatever the state's is going to come out. I know we've had some questions with regards to what those new guidelines are going to be, what those new rules are going to be, et cetera. I wish I could tell you more other than I did invite Mark here tonight to go ahead and talk a little bit about it. You can come on up now. It would be the best time as any. We will be, that's a question that we've got. There's a governor's call that's tomorrow. Yes. And Mark has prepared a question to go ahead and see if we can try to get some light onto that. If there are some changes, obviously, we're going to be, we have a lot of concern with regards to even enforcement. As you know, right now, when we passed this at the local level, it was a way for us to go ahead and use the police department to go ahead and enforce should we have any problems with regards to people not adhering to it. After May 4th, moving on, it's going to be, I guess, basically by the state, unless you would choose to go ahead and want to do something local again with our own regulations in place. I don't necessarily advise that, but because even if you do that at such a local level here, people obviously go in and out of the city. So if it's not adhered to on at least a countywide basis, I don't see a reason to do anything more strict than what the county would do. And I think the county, their intentions are to follow whatever the state guidelines are coming out on May 4th.
Correct. And we did pose the question tomorrow, as Darren said, tomorrow will be the weekly State Emergency Management Governor's meeting. Occurs every Tuesday at 4:30. And we did pose the question, we're just looking for guidance. We're looking what they have discussed as far as the restrictions that are going to be in place. So we have some idea of how we need to prepare along those lines, what we're going to do, because at this point, it's pretty nebulous. We have no idea what the restrictions will be. So we have requested clarity, and hopefully we'll get it tomorrow.
And this falls into everything with regards to maybe how our library moves forward with possibly reopening at some date, to what I'll try to cover under city administrator's report later, which is the email I sent out regarding our Washington camp, as well as our facilities, the fields, and any organized sports, et cetera. We're looking for just the same feedback of what they're getting. And so we'll try to find, as soon as we get that information, we will pass that on to you as soon as it becomes aware to us. So that's it for this ordinance. That's all that this ordinance covers tonight, is just bumping that timeline up, so that we're not out there being more restrictive a day longer than what may come from the state.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 20-13092, being an ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the city of Washington, Missouri, and enacting regulations in connection therewith. Wessels? Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Selentrop?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Move forward.
Obermark?
Aye.
Hatke?
Yes.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Mayor's report?
The only thing I want to report tonight, and this is just an FYI for all of you, this year we were planning to host the National Symposium for the American Bloom, and we had a conference call with them last Friday, and because they already are beginning, in a normal year, they would be beginning their judging across the country already. They'd be going to the warmer climates in April already, and they can't do that, so there will be no judging this year, nor will there be a symposium. So we will not be hosting that. Next year, they've already made arrangements to have it in South Carolina, but we will have the opportunity to do it then the following year, which would be 2022. So just to give you an FYI, that's another thing that has been moved. So that's all I have. Stay safe.
City Administrator's report?
As we sent you a recommendation in an email last week for a discussion item tonight, we have Camp Washington that would start, I believe, shortly after the first part of June. That runs, I believe, for 6-7 weeks into July. And also obviously the Washington Sports Leagues, or Washington Youth Sports, I can't remember what their official name is.
WISA.
Huh?
WISA.
Okay, very good. Washington Youth
Sports Association.
There you go, I got it. Anyway, they, obviously, they would have been started with games at this point. They've asked some questions with regards to when will the city, is there any potential for the city to open those facilities? When we made a recommendation at the time to go ahead and not open up Camp Washington this summer, as well as for the sports leagues at this time, I discussed that with Mark. I've since talked to the county as well to see if there's anything that we think that may come down that would be different after May 3rd from the governor's office. We may know a little bit more tomorrow with regards to it, but at this time, at least, even from the county, and I just talked to Presiding Commissioner Brinker this afternoon, it is not anticipated that social distancing is going to change. That's still going to be there. Either one of those two activities, it's almost impossible to go ahead and do that, because if the kids are playing ball, it's almost impossible for them not to go ahead and come in interaction with each other. At least any of you that know that, sports, I mean, I don't think I have to explain it to this group about baseball and how you may come into contact with one another. And the Camp Washington, it's same situation. I think it'd be very challenging, obviously, to run a camp. I don't know how many families would even still want to go ahead and send their kids to camp under these situations, at least that we're at today. So that's why we made that recommendation. I talked with the mayor, talked with Mark, and that's why I wanted to bring it up with you. I know that's maybe, and I had a conversation with Jeff this afternoon, if at a later date that something would clear up and they chose to go ahead and utilize the fields at a later date and start the season in July, for example, if something would be available, we can certainly go ahead and do that at that time. And if those things, I think we wanted to get them an answer so that they understood how they could move forward with their league and whether or not to notify, the parents and coaches, et cetera, that, it's very unlikely that you're going to be, I think they were looking at the possibility of having practices start maybe mid-May and then start a season in June and have it all through the month of June and most of July.
Correct.
And so, with that being said, right now, I don't think we can even commit to that because of the restrictions in place.
Any questions or comments?
And like I talked to Darren today about that, I agree with that we can't guarantee them that they're going to play June 1st, and we know that. I guess my suggestion to him was, I can't speak on the daycare. I think that is 80 kids in one building, and that would definitely is probably best to be canceled. But if we're going to cancel the use of our ball fields on April the 20th, and then potentially in the end of May or maybe June, we could open them back up again, then why wouldn't we just wait? And a lot's changed in a month. Maybe a lot more will change in 2 weeks or another month. I spoke with the Washington Youth Sports, a couple representatives, and they're optimistic that they can do this in June. And maybe it's not a reality, and I completely understand that. But it doesn't hurt anything for us to take no action and except to tell them that there's a possibility that it may not happen. If you want to do your legwork and try to prepare for June 1st, but there's a possibility that the fields won't be available, then feel free to go ahead. But we can't give you for sure. I think I would feel more comfortable giving an answer at our second May meeting, May 18th, that you won't be able to use the fields in June. But to say that the fields aren't available in July now, I think is far reaching. And I think if there is an option, if there is a possibility, the kids need this. This is going to be their out for the summer, and they need to have that opportunity, whether it's June, July, whatever. Now, Darren explained to me, we can adopt it tonight, close it, and if it becomes better, we can open it back up again, but that kind of seems redundant. And I'd like to give a little hope that maybe it will, that's all. So that's my thought.
I agree with Jeff. I think we should hold off just a little bit longer, just for hope purposes.
And the only reason why we did this, just so you know, and brought it up now, was due to the fact that they were questioning Wayne, hey, when's the fields gonna open up? When are the fields gonna open back up? And I don't have an answer right now. I don't think that Mark can provide you with an answer right now. So that's fine. What we can do is, if you want to, we can just say, we can review it again at the next city council meeting on May the 4th, and we will just pass that word along. I'll have Wayne pass that along and say, we're just in a holding pattern until we get more guidance on social distancing and whether or not we can go ahead and do this for the leagues later. That's fine.
It's just like everything. We don't know what's going to go on with most things.
That's right.
So it's just wait and see, and everybody's getting impatient because the weather's getting warm and so on and so forth. So
Now, as far as the camp goes, I don't know if we divide that, but I think they have to make plans.
We have to we have to go
Register
ahead
for
and.
Counselors.
We've got counselors, we've got, et cetera. There's a lot more involved with regards to that. We don't per se, the only thing we do, obviously, with the youth sports is we get the fields ready for them, and that's it. Whereas with Camp Washington, there's a lot more preparation to go ahead and do, and I just don't see that we're going to be able to go ahead and provide.
Does Camp Washington fall under the same provisions, though, as daycare or not? I mean, most people who are sending their children there
Yes.
are doing so for
For
childcare.
childcare, yes. It's kind of yes, it's a form of childcare, correct.
I mean, I certainly understand the risk of it, but I just didn't know, because it is, I mean, these are very trying times for working parents.
Right. And I was
Imagine being allowed to return to work and now your childcare option is totally off the table. So I understand the hiring needs that would have to take place. I would question too whether parents would even send their kids, but if it's your only option, I don't know.
My thing is, we would have to go hire people and then just tell them, put them on a pause button.
Yeah.
And then wait before and try to see what happens on May. That's, again, we were just trying to go ahead and say,
I know.
and we did see some other cities that were also gonna go ahead. Ellisville just announced that they're
They
not
can't.
opening up their pool, they're not doing their camp, et cetera. I think you're gonna see more cities do the same thing.
Yeah. It's probably the right decision. I just don't want to make the decision lightly because it
I understand.
will have,
I felt the same way.
Significant
I think From the very
consequences.
beginning, I think we had a meeting with Mercy and, when they wanted to open up the testing center out at the fairgrounds. And at that point, it was that, the healthcare workers are gonna be working long hours. They were gonna have demands on, for childcare, et cetera. We even talked, I think we just had a quick internal discussion, like would it be worthwhile for us to open it up early if the school is out, et cetera. But again, I don't think that we can provide what those, just like anybody else, the school can do. We can't provide that social distancing, and that's the concern.
May the 4th be with us.
Clever.
So no action needed, just the fact that we're gonna
We
revisit.
waited all day for that.
it's probably not the first time
Serious
we've used
question,
it.
go ahead.
I mean, is there any action needed now, if that's our choice, or that's?
I guess the only thing is, I can tell, there's two things I gotta do. Shauna has to go ahead and let the counselors know if we wanna wait until May the 4th, and I think we put it all on pause.
They are hired already?
Huh?
Are they,
We've
we've
got
already
everybody,
hired
but
them.
we've told them it's on pause right now.
Okay.
But we'd have to process them in, get them in the system, get them in payroll, et cetera, and if we know that we're not gonna do, it's just,
I know.
that's the concern.
Is Camp Washington our decision?
Yes.
Is
Yes,
it
we don't
doable if
contract
we
with
decide
somebody
May
else.
4th,
We
one way
run-
or the other?
I'm sorry, Nick.
If we decide May 4th, one way or the other, is it still time to get everybody in the books
You know,
and?
anything-
Well, the camp itself doesn't start until
No, camp doesn't
June.
start until June.
Right.
You
We
know.
can, if you want, we can wait another until May the 4th, and that's fine. We'll,
They probably won't be, I hate to say this, but they won't be finding jobs anywhere else.
glad you can't see.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. But May the 4th, we can wait till.
If we can defer it, I would feel better
Okay,
about
that's fine.
deferring
For
it.
both-
At
for
least
both-
maybe then it's an
both
informed
actions?
decision.
Yes.
Yep.
And we may know more,
That's fine.
May no more.
When everything shut down, it happened real quick.
Hopefully. No more.
Yeah.
Just, that's fine, I'll bring it back, and we can discuss it again under city administrator's report then.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I'll let Shauna know to put everybody on pause for a few more weeks, and then Wayne to go ahead and contact Washington Youth Sports.
Yep.
Let them know. Just a couple of other things, budgets are gonna be due by department heads, Friday, we'll see how that goes. It may be a little bit later, but we're already starting to work on next year's budget. And we have, a couple other things I wanted to go ahead. At the library, they have started a curbside checkout. It's been very popular, so they will go ahead, you can call up ahead in advance and check out your books or whatever, and they will go ahead and pull them off the shelf and bring them out. Wayne has his crews working on getting the pad site ready, but the playground installation should be starting pretty soon, and that's going to be ready by June the 1st. That's out there by the main park pavilion.
We did that for the Camp Washington.
What's that?
We had to do that
We
for
did.
Camp
We did that for Camp Washington, correct. And unfortunately, we may have a situation where we open up a brand-new playground and say, sorry, you can't use it. But we'll wait till May the 4th and find out. Yes? I have never heard of moving the playground equipment to the east side of the town due to the fact that the equipment is either outdated or there's issues with it that you can't just pick it up and utilize it at another location. As a matter of fact, we do not even, in the years past, if you'll remember, we used to sit there and have other communities go ahead, and if they wanted to, either we donate it, or if they wanted to purchase it, to, just take it down and haul off, they don't even do that anymore due to liability concerns.
Well, that's when it was monkey bars and they
That's
would
right,
knock
correct,
your head on it. I mean,
right. So I hope does that answer your question, Mark?
Yeah, you guys were real choppy. I couldn't hear everything, but I could make it out. There was this talk one time, this is going back 5, 6 years now, whatever, about, when some of that playground equipment got updated, that, good stuff we could do. But I know that's in that past sales tax.
It is.
For a playground. Yeah.
That is correct.
I was just asking to see what was happening.
Yep. I think,
What kind of surface is the new playground going to be? Concrete with a pour over, or?
it's concrete with some squishy surface, I think, over the top of that as well,
All right, okay.
to my understanding. That's all I have. We do have, I think, 2 items in executive session.
Council comments?
comments?
Stay safe.
City Attorney's report. Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO. Wessels? Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Sullentrop? Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Obermark?
Aye.
Hatke?
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned. And